Hello. Today I want to consider the elective mathematics paper of the Holy Child School mock examination 2022. And I want to start with a question number 1. All right. Now this is the question. For the A, it says express square root of 3 plus square root of 5 all over 15 in the form A root 5 plus B root 3, where A and B are rational numbers. And you have the B also there. So we want to start with the A. All right. So for the A, we have square root of 3 plus square root of 5 all over square root of 15. Okay. Now for this question, all that we have to do is to rationalize what we are having there. Okay. So we are going to have square root of 3 plus square root of 5 all over square root of 15 times square root of 15 over square root of 15. Okay. So now we have two fractions. Let's simplify that. Whatever that we are having here is going to multiply this, and then this one too will multiply this. All right. So we are going to have our square root of 15 multiplying square root of 3 plus the square root of 5 all over root 15 times root 15. So we are going to get root 15 all squared. Okay. Now with this, root 15 multiplies root 3, and that is going to give us root 45. Bring our operation plus the same root 15 multiplies root 5, and that is going to give us root 75 all over root 15 squared is going to give us 15. All right. Now for the numerator, the root 45 can be simplified further. It's supposed to be reduced to its lowest form. So we are going to have the root 45, which is the same as you having 9 times 5. Okay. Plus the root 75, that one too is going to be 25 times 3. So root 25 times 3 all over your 15. Okay. So we are going to have the square root of 9 times the square root of 5 plus the square root of 25 times the square root of 3 all over 15. When you consider the square root of 9 is going to give us 3. 3 times the root 5. So we are going to get 3 root 5 plus square root of 25 is going to give us 5. So 5 times root 3, and that is what we are having here, all over 15. Now this juncture, let's simplify this further. So we are going to have 3 root 5 over 15 plus the 5 root 3 over 15. Because the question wants us to express this in the form a root 5 plus b root 3. In that case, from what we are having here, this is the same as 3 over 15 root 5 plus 5 over 15 root 3. And we can reduce this. Okay, so 3 goes into the 15 5 times. Therefore, we are going to have our 1 over 5 root 5 plus 1 over 3 root 3, because 5 goes inside 1 goes into the 15 3. Okay, so this is how we can solve this particular question. Let's move on to the B. For the B part from the question, it says given that x operating on y is equal to x plus y over y, x operating on y, that is the triangle operation, is equal to x squared over y. And the question wants you to find m if you are considering this particular equation. All right, so we want to try expanding this equation. Okay, so per the star operation, it is x plus y over y. That is the definition. So from what we are having here, this becomes our x, this becomes our y. All right, so we are going to have the 3 plus m over m. You put that in brackets. Triangle 48 being equal to 1 over 3. Now we are done simplifying this. That is why we are having this bracket. But if you look at the other operation, that is the triangle operation, what we are having here, the definition is what you are having here. It says x squared over y. So whatever that you're having before the operation is your x. Whatever that you are having after the operation is your y. In this case, whatever that we are having here becomes our x, and whatever that we are having here becomes our y. In that case, we are going to have our x squared, so 3 plus m over m all squared divided by your y, and our y is 48, and everything will be equal to 1 over 3. So we are having this equation. Let's try solving for m. When you take the numerator of this fraction, we are going to have our 3 plus m all squared over m squared. That is, this squared is going to affect this. The same square affect this m. All right. Now divided by, let's bring the division. So divided by the 48. So we have 48. And this is equal to 1 over 3. So our next step, we are going to expand this bracket here. All right. So we are going to have 3 plus m, 3 plus m, all over m squared times. Now, if you look at what we have in it was division sign. So we are going to reciprocate that so that it becomes times. Then we write 1 over 48. So we are going to have times 1 over 48, and this is equal to 1 over 3. Now let's expand the numerator. When we expand the numerator of this particular fraction that we are having here, we are going to get 9 plus 6m plus m squared. You go through these steps and then expand this fully. You are going to get whatever that we are having here. Okay, so over m squared times 1 over 48 is equal to 1 over 3. From what we are having here, we have two fractions. We can use this one to multiply everything here. So we are going to get 9 plus 6m plus m squared all over m squared times 48. We are going to get 48 m squared being equal to 1 over 3. At this juncture, we are having two fractions. So let's do cross multiplication. So this 3 is going to multiply everything here. And then the 48 m squared is also going to multiply everything here. All right. So we are going to get 3 multiplying the 9 plus 6m plus m squared is equal to 48 multiplying the 1. That is the 48m squared. So we are going to get the same 48m squared. Okay. Now at this point, we can still reduce some terms because there's a common factor. If you look at this side, the whole of this side, the common factor there is 3. The 3 is outside here. But the 48m squared to 3 can go into that. So let's do the cancellation. We divide here by 3, here by 3. We do some cancellation. All right. So we are going to be left with our 9 plus 6m plus m squared being equal to 3 goes into 48, 16. So we are going to be left with 16m squared. Okay. Now at this point, since the m involved, the highest exponent of the m is 2. We are having a quadratic equation there. So let's rearrange that. Okay. So we are going to have the 16m squared. Let's assume that we are transposing everything to the other side. So when you transpose this, just m squared to the other side, it's going to be minus. So minus m squared. You shift the 6m to the other side, so it becomes minus 6m. You shift the positive 9 to the other side, so it becomes minus 9. And this, everything will be equal to 0. Now this is going to give us 15m squared minus 6m minus 9 being equal to 0. We have our quadratic equation. So let's try solving this particular quadratic equation. All right, so we are going to have our 5m squared minus 6m minus 9 being equal to 0. And even from what we are having here, there's a common factor, and the common factor here is, here is 15. Okay, now the common factor here is 3. So we are going to divide through by the 3. So we divide here by 3, here by 3, here by 3, here by 3. Okay. So we are going to be left with 5m squared minus 2m minus 3 being equal to 0. Okay, so let's take this side and then let's factorize that. That is, I want to use factorization method. So minus 3 times 5, we are going to get minus 15. So we want two numbers in which when we multiply, we get a minus 15, but when we add, we get negative 2. That is the coefficient of the m. Okay, so we are going to have our 5m squared. In fact, the two numbers that we are going to use, we can use the negative 5 and then positive 3. All right, so we bring our first term, that is the 5m squared. Then we bring our minus 5m plus 3m minus 3 is equal to 0. So you pick your first two terms, you factorize. 5m is common, so 5m, you open your bracket, you are going to be left with what? M minus 1 plus, you take the last two to the common factor is 3. So you bring the 3 out, you open your bracket, you are going to be left with m minus 1 being equal to 0. Okay, so m minus 1 is common for the two terms that you're having there. That is this term and then this term. So your m minus 1 comes out, and you are going to be left with your 5m plus 3 being equal to 0. Okay, you take each linear factor then equate it to 0. So you're going to have your m minus 1 being equal to 0, which implies that our m will be equal to positive 1. You pick the other linear factor, that is a 5m plus 3, and then equate it to 0. And I'm going to get your 5m to be equal to negative 3, which implies that your m will be equal to negative 3 over 5. But don't forget that from the question said where m is greater than 0. It says where m is greater than 0. All right. So in that case, you are going to pick m being equal to 1. That is this particular one. Therefore, our m is equal to 1 is our final answer. That's where we are going to end this question. All right. Thanks for your time. Bye bye.